Hello, welcome to today's HR Huddle. I'm Tamera Loerzel, and with me is my partner Jennifer Wilson. And we're here to talk about talent development and continuing to make that a competitive differentiator in the face of maybe some other firms that might be waiting or might be on pause because of various things going on either in our economy or the market, or sometimes we're hearing that firm leaders are saying maybe we have more control of employees and team, access, people access than we have in the past. Private equity, there's a list. But we know that investing in talent development is still critical. It's a differentiator. It'll set your firm apart from a skill set and expertise, experience, upskilling them into advisors, but also being a destination firm. And so we just want to explore some ways you can continue to do that, maybe some new ideas to focus on that, to set yourselves apart, to be attractive, to win the talent race, with talent still being one of the top priorities that firms say is important, or even a challenge still to them is, having and finding and placing the right people, even with some of the softening that's happening. So, Jen, what else do you want to add for the setup to that discussion today?
I just think that what Tamara and I are seeing, it's interesting. This morning, I started my day, my work day, with an interview with an editor who was writing a story, and it was about destination workplaces, and we discussed this topic. And then Tamara sent me a note later in the morning and said, "Hey, I have an idea for a topic." And I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." That there are two bright women that I know our profession and know something about business transformation and practice management, are both thinking, I'm worried that firms aren't paying attention to what it takes to attract and retain talent right now, that it's the foot's off the pedal or something, So I think that's kind of this concept is, how fast should you be going in the talent arena, or how seriously should you be taking it, or where are you with it? We're asking you to kind of get your own barometer or temperature check there at your firm, and really look at the reasons why you might stay talent forward and talent focused. And we think it's critical. We've talked about demographics a lot. We know the working age population, 24 to 64 years old in the United States, is growing at a snail's pace. Super slow pace, maybe unprecedented slow pace, and it is projected to begin shrinking in the next decade. So we know the working age population is going to shrink. Automation will help, AI will help, offshoring may help, but we know that we're still going to need talent in our organizations to help clients and to provide advice and build relationships and to shepherd new talent. And so staying committed to talent is critical in the long run. And I don't think anybody would dispute that. I think what commonly happens, and our business is now 25, so we've seen it happen a few times in cycles, is, things kind of soften in the marketplace, like it is, spongy, soft. People fear maybe second half slowdown, or even worse, recession. We have a little bit of like war talk happening. As of today, I could say that's a valid statement. There's just some stuff that could make all of us go, what should we do in spending, and what should we do with our, with our programs and things. And what we're saying at Convergence is we don't want you to be irresponsible and spend to outstrip revenue or anything like that. What we want you to do is stop and go, wait a minute. If we're going to pick and choose what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we're not going to suddenly feel like a different culture, suddenly feel like we're not committed to talent, suddenly feel like silence has fallen and we're not managing the message, and we're not going to pull back in our commitment to talent. We're going to stay committed to talent, and we're going to continue to try to differentiate ourselves, as what Tamara alluded to, destination workplace. which Josh Burson was the first time we'd ever heard that term many years ago now, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. But we loved it because we want your firm to be a destination workplace. We want you to have the pick of people to come. And we think this is a very interesting time, in fact, to attract people to your firm, because we think that sponginess is making others be less committed to their people, or less, less sticky. Mm-hmm. And it's a great time to peel people out of some of these organizations. So anyway, I think that's the setup. And there are places to look for this. And so top line messaging would be where we would always start. Like, what kind of messaging are you as top line leaders giving? How have you connected your partners and unified them around messages? I'm sure there are some questions that people are having, like, how's revenue? How's firm performance? What's happening in terms of hiring? What are we seeing in the marketplace? Hopefully your firm's doing a really good job of communicating results to your team members and expressing where we might be having successes, but also where we might be seeing some shifts or changes, so that we're managing the message at the top line and making sure that individual partners aren't making up their own economic story or their own update on the state of the firm, or the state of talent, or the state of our commitment to talent, that we're really clear about sort of, here's what we're seeing and here's what we should be saying, and arming people with that. And that would be one important thing. It's always important, but it's more important now that times are kind of uncertain.
Yeah. And I think part of that messaging is, where are we focused? What are our goals? What's our growth goals? What are the opportunities that we're seeing with our clients? We firmly believe there's no better time to be in accounting and consulting than today. And there are so many opportunities with our, clients. And so I like that you said shift or change. We might be down in some areas, and what we're seeing is it's shifting and changing. And so how do we capitalize on that, and how do we pivot along with that? Well, what does that mean to talent? Well, where do they fit in the organization? What kind of skills do we need to be developing? What kind of experience do we need to be providing them, and being more intentional about that? I think one of the top things that we're hearing and seeing as requests from talent is, what's my career path? What's my trajectory? What's my timing for it? And wanting to understand that, wanting to influence it and have a say, and want some specificity around that. And I think that's something we've always been able to be better at. We could be more specific about it, instead of kind of just letting it unfold or letting it, roll out. But your high performers especially are going to really want to know, how do they create their path, and what does that look like, and that there are opportunities, and that we're managing to the high potentials. I mean, I think that's the other thing, is we don't want to manage to the, lowest common denominator, or the lowest, performers. And because it's a little bit softening, maybe we don't have to feel like so much we're walking on eggshells that maybe we have felt in the recent past. And we should really be helping people elevate and upgrade and turn performance around where we need to do that. Not saying, we need bodies, we need people, which is never a good mantra. I see you shaking your head, Jen. It's never, even in tight, squeezy talent times, that's just not a good philosophy, because who it demoralizes is your high potentials. And so we need to manage at that level, and then bring people along and bring people up and invest in them. And I think some of the places that we're seeing, leadership is saying, hey, we need to invest in our people, is continuing to build those advisory skills, continuing to build rainmakers, especially when many of our rainmakers are still retiring. We still have succession planning happening. We still have retirement happening. And we just kicked off our Rainmaker development program. And, it was really all levels, managers, some seniors, managers, and newer partners, because they're like, we have not had to have this focus because we've had an abundance of work and opportunity. And now we want to be more intentional about the right clients, but also coaching and feedback, how to be good people developers. And so there's some very specific what I'm going to call leadership, skills and attributes and functions that we need to develop our people in addition to all of the technical and, everything else around it. So those are some areas that we're just saying, hey, what are we doing to grow our people in these areas and identify those that are good at it, matching them to their skill set, their strengths, their interests, and deploying people in the correct way.
Yes. Well, and, Tamara, part of being an employer of choice is trying to help map our people and their, their hopes and dreams and map it to what we have available or what we might develop, because there are roles being developed all the time, especially as technology is evolving. There's, I don't know if we would have had as many data analyst type roles 2-3 years ago as we are seeing today. And as an example, but, invest in your people in that way too. Spend time to understand that their desires, their roadmap, their interests. Make sure that we're making time. It doesn't all have to be spend. It could be spend of time, not spend of dollars necessarily. Get them exposed to other disciplines, or let them go out and experientially participate in engagements or things that they might not have been exposed to before. We don't have to necessarily be spending dollars at a time where dollars might start to be at a premium. We're not sure. Some firms are telling us, oh man, we've got plenty of revenue and our problem is capacity still. So we're still hearing that from many. But just as equally, we're hearing from others say, it's a little spongy, it's a little tight, turnover hasn't been what we thought it was going to be, what it normally has been, so we might have overhired. So in those instances where we might feel a little squeezy on the dollar, we don't have to spend to make it feel like a great place to work. Pay attention to culture, pay attention to flexibility. Those are places that they don't really cost money per se. But they make it feel like a great place to work. And we do worry, especially for those organizations that are thinking about making a serious or significant ownership shift. You're thinking about exercising a different exit strategy than an internal transition to your up and comers. You may not feel like you can say that right now, but the silence can be deafening. Your culture can be dramatically impacted by all of a sudden the leaders aren't saying much. And we're hearing some of that. And that's, we've always said for as long as we've been together, Tamara and I, if you don't manage the message will manage you. If you don't articulate, so just saying to folks, there's a lot going on in the marketplace. We're studying that. As a result, we're not quite sure what our next steps are, but we may not be, continuing to invest in this area, but we are going to continue to invest in this. And you continue to be very important people and players in this organization. We care very much about your success, and then, demonstrating that. So that's another thing that, even if you're not sure what the next steps are going to be, silence is not going to make you a destination workplace or a place that people feel comfortable staying. And meanwhile, other people are thinking, man, this is a great time for us to double down on talent. Let's get out there and find those specialty positions that we've been missing and that we haven't been able to place, or let's build out this very specialty practice and go start introducing ourselves to other firms' people that do this, because they're probably getting wishy-washy, ambivalent, silent feelings, and or they're maybe chaotic because of change already that's happened, and it's just a perfect time to build that bench.
Yeah, very good. I think part of the way to build the bench too is, telling stories. And I think that's something that your team would really value more of if you're doing it. But if you're not, to consider, having partners tell their stories, have, managers that just got promoted tell their stories, have your clients and come and tell their stories, about the difference. What was the problem that they have, and how did your firm make a difference in, what were the solutions they provided? What were the kind of relationships that were developed? I think it's eye-opening for your team members to hear those kind of stories and find a place to get related, where they can see themselves. Because sometimes it's hard for them to see themselves, or they think they're unique and it's not, going to happen for me, or, I can't manage all of this, or whatever it is. And so different times of the year, different opportunities to say, what kind of stories can we be sharing with our team members, and, get people to, be vulnerable, share them, have clients come in. It's incredible to, hear the kind of transformation that happens and the difference that we make.
Purpose. You're talking about sense of purpose. So Tamera, while you were talking, I had a weird parable maybe, or I don't know if it's a parable or if it's a, I don't know what you would call it, but hopefully some of our listeners could relate to the old story of the grasshopper and the ant, and that, the grasshopper took time off, a lot of time off. And maybe I'm going to call firms not to be the grasshopper firms right now, not to say, hey, this is a good time for us to cut a bunch of stuff and not do a bunch of stuff, and instead focus only on growth and focus on profitability and not focus on talent, and not, give the kinds of raises we've given, or not communicate why we're not, or not invest time and energy in the development of these people, or whatever it may be. That's like almost a fair weather kind of strategy. Like, sometimes I'm committed and sometimes I'm not. And, the firms that are going to be that sort of ant mentality, which is like, we are beelining, we are making an everyday commitment to our talent. It's every day, no matter what's happening in the marketplace. Now, that doesn't mean economic downturn and significant issues in revenue that we don't consider not necessarily carrying the same talent we carried. Sometimes that has to happen. It's not a lot, though. It's not often. And even that can be managed so lovingly and so professionally and so respectfully. But, just really never letting your foot off the gas, never, ever taking time to fiddle around with other options, because we're worried that talent, first of all, they don't forget. We want you to remember that they don't forget, but also the marketplace doesn't forget anymore, because talent memorializes it in writing. They put it out on Glassdoor, and they put it on Reddit, and they put it on Fishbowl and Going Concern, and tell their friends. And so the marketplace isn't going to be kind to us if we take sort of a on again, off again approach to our commitment to talent. It doesn't mean we have to do exactly what we were doing before, but we've got to make sure that we're paying attention to how it feels to work at your place, and whether I feel enriched and developed and valued. Yeah. And if I do, we're going to win. And if I don't, we're going to have challenges.
Yeah. And this is a perfect time this summer, as you're maybe convening, firm retreats, team meetings, partner retreats. You can talk about it from one of your, strategies for the rest of the year is, how do we make sure we are paying attention to talent, and what does that look like for each one of us? What does that look like for in our departments or service lines, et cetera? And so let's just get the word out there. Let's not take our foot off the pedal, or put it back on if we did, and say, what else can we be doing? So we know you'll be better off when you do so, and your team will grow and you'll benefit from it. So let us know what strategies maybe you're employing, or ideas that you have around this, and any other topics, for HR Huddle. We're always interested. So you can get a message to us and let us know. We look forward to seeing you on the next HR Huddle. In the meantime, have a great week. Thanks for joining us today.